Hello, welcome back to another video. So today what we're going to do is we're going to show some Laravel logs in a Prometheus dashboard. So let's get started. So first we'll grab is we want to grab Postgres, wait for that to install. Yeah, we want to continue, so maybe let's just update the script. So there for yes. Okay, next thing we're going to do is set up the database, then grab Laravel, and then set up a bulk stack. So normally it's called like, I suppose this would call this a bulk stack because we're not using Grafana, we're going to use Grafana. The reason we're using Grafana over Grafana is that we can set up Grafana to pull statistics for both Prometheus and from Elasticsearch, and it's got all like the dashboards and the graphs and stuff for logs and for server metrics. So we're going to do that. Then what we're going to do is to set up the bulk stack for grabbing the logs from Laravel, but also from Postgres. So we're going to have things like slow logs. So if there's a query that takes longer, let's say than X amount of seconds, it's going to show up in those logs, and then somebody can go and check it out on the coding side why it's taking so long, or maybe a DBA if it's like a database data relations thing. Okay, anyway, so yeah, we're going to set all that up, and then the idea is at the end of the day we're going to have, if you look at the way bottom down here, is we have the JSON scripts for dashboard for Grafana for all the Prometheus and Elasticsearch stuff, and then maybe also just do the SSL for Elasticsearch. And then we're not going to do the SSL for Prometheus. I think I did a video previously about Prometheus, and I think I did do SSL in there. If not, I might do an SSL video on Prometheus in the future, because Prometheus is a bit of a funny one in that most of these systems work on the push basis where a client pushes information to a service, but I think Prometheus is a bit different in that Prometheus, the server actually pulls the data from the different nodes rather than the nodes pushing it up. So the whole SSL relationship is a bit flipped on its head in that sense, and the nodes needs to be the server with SSL where Prometheus can talk to them, and then you also need the SSL in Prometheus for the clients like Grafana to talk to it. So it's a bit of a different one, that. But anyway, so still on the data, on the Postgres, still waiting for that, but it should be almost done. And let's have a quick look over here. Okay, and then the other thing I also did with these scripts, I tried to make it a bit easier in the sense that you could just kind of copy that, and then all the bash commands are follow one after the other, so just copy paste into that, rather than the previous video where I had a script like this where I had to copy paste each individual command out of the code block into a terminal. So it works in some of the places, yes, some not. The idea is for my Linux skills to get better and better and better, so that at the end of the day what I can do is produce these sort of scripts very quickly that kind of just does everything for you. I've done something like this in previous videos, but it was a bit time consuming, and at the moment I don't have that much time on my hands. So let's see, should be almost done. Okay. Now is this to do the updates or do the Postgres install? Looks like it was just to do the updates, so I'm still going to wait a bit for the Postgres part. Okay, so let's have a look at maybe some of the stuff in here. So I was doing Postgres. Okay, so next up is getting Elasticsearch and Logstash and FileBeat, and then setting up Elasticsearch to only listen to the localized network. Then to set up Logstash to accept UDP logs or logs via UDP, which is what we're going to use to talk from Laravel to Logstash. Okay, but let's go back to Postgres for now first. So we're going to do Postgres. We're going to grab this stuff. Now we set that. We're going to exit here. We're going to install all of the PHP and Nginx and all that stuff. Okay, all the dependencies we need for PHP and Nginx for Laravel. Okay, so let's maybe go back to where we were. So we set up UDP, we said we accept JSON for the logs, and then for beats, and this is for things like the Nginx logs and the Postgres logs. We're gonna get via beats, and then the output is just going to be Elasticsearch for now for Laravel, and then you'll see later on we're going to update the script a bit for sending through the logs for Postgres and Laravel as well. Back to where we were though, is that we've got those dependencies now, and then we're going to get Composer version 2, and that's going to get installed into, I think, local user bin, so we can get access to it. And then next thing, we're going to grab the user. We'll make a user for our website. Okay. So at the moment, we're just going to run composers as root. Normally what you probably do is try and run it as the app user, but since we're trying to do this on a time schedule, if you haven't watched my previous video, we're trying to do this in 25 minutes. In other words, the time it takes for one Pomodoro. So we're trying to speed through some of the stuff, but normally what you do is you probably first create all the directories, set the permissions for those directories to app, and then you use Composer as the app user rather than as root. Also, what you probably do in a production environment, you develop the local site, the Laravel site locally, and then push it up to the server via Git or some other means. Okay, so back to where we were previously, because this is going to take a while. Okay, so I'm going to set that up to get the logs via Laravel. We're going to restart all of that. We're going to set up Laravel to log to Logstash, so we're going to update the config logging. And then we're just going to set Logstash. We're going to set all these things to push the logs to via UDP to Logstash, which is then going to push it through to Elasticsearch, and then later on we're going to view it via Kibana. So we get Logstash, application notes, all of that stuff. Okay, so next thing we're going to make a test command. We're just going to put a log in there to show that we can actually run this, and that we'll see it later on. We're going to run that. It's going to send through the log into Elasticsearch via Logstash. We're going to set Logstash up to get events for Postgres and for Nginx via FileBeats. And then we're going to set up FileBeats for Nginx and Postgres logging. And then what we're going to do is just update that FileBeats, remove some of the stuff, make sure that we're logging to Logstash. Then enable Postgres slow log, so we're going to grab so we get the slow log. So you'll see at the moment we've set it for 1 year for testing, but on a production system you might want to push it up a bit. So I think this one is in microseconds, so it's very low. You're going to basically see all the Postgres logs at 1 microsecond. So production, that I think is 1.2 seconds. And then we're just going to restart that for those configs to take effect. We're going to install Prometheus, maybe, and then we're going to set up systemd for Prometheus, install node exporter. So these are all the server configs or the server stats, so CPU, file storage, memory usage, those sort of things. Okay, so that's what node exporter does. Update Prometheus, so just make sure that we add the node configs, add the node exporter to the list of services that Prometheus needs to pull from to get its stats. Then enable Elasticsearch HTTPS, other word SSL on Elasticsearch. And then we've got let's see, update Elastic. Okay, so this is the configs to enable SSL on Logstash, so that Logstash can talk to Elasticsearch even if Elasticsearch has SSL turned on. restart all of that, so it takes all effect, and then just install Grafana, so we get a pretty dashboard. And then at the end of all of this, we get the configs for the dashboard for Grafana. So the cool thing about Grafana is that you can export and import your whole dashboard as JSON, so you can share it around and stuff. I think there's also like a place for Grafana, like a website where you can pull pre-made dashboards for somebody else. Okay, so let's see, and then that would be kind of the end of the video. And then again, I've got references down here at the bottom. So I tried to reference the places where I found all this information from, so that these guys get some credit for the hard work that they do. That then I'm kind of just trying to summarize, and then also a place for you guys to go find out a bit more about what's going on in the video. So let's see. So we've grabbed all the composer stuff, almost. Okay, let's see. So we're back up here again, and then next thing we're going to do is we're going to start doing the bulk stack. Okay, so maybe just a note on one thing that's not that straightforward, but we'll get to it later, and this is the HTTPS stuff. So Elasticsearch ships with a tool for enabling SSL, and it's down over there. So the idea is you run this tool, and there's some prompts that you have to fill in. So what we're going to do is that you'll see I've put some stuff in comments here. One of the things it asks you, for instance, is for a file, and we're just going to call it SSL http.zip, because that way the rest of our script over here can actually easily use it without us having to kind of fiddle with it. But the idea being is that, yeah, you can just grab the, yeah. Anyway, so the idea is that Elasticsearch generates this file. It puts all the certificates in that zip. So we unzip that file, we've grabbed the certificates, and then we put them in the etc folders for things like Logstash and Elasticsearch, where the different services can actually get a hold of them. And then at the end here, if we choose a password, we need to run this so that that password gets added to Elasticsearch. When Elasticsearch loads the certificate, that password gets filled in automatically. So yeah, let's see, and then it's just enabling the SSL in Elasticsearch and telling it that it needs to use that file for the certificate. And then for Logstash, we copy across the generated CA file into the Logstash directory, set the permissions so Logstash can read it, and then set the configs for Logstash and restart it. Laravel is still taking Composer, not Laravel. Composer is still taking quite a while to grab all our dependencies. I've always wondered why Composer is a bit slow on grabbing all this stuff. Okay, this was awkward silence. But yeah, again, it's that I was trying to do it for this video to put a timer here so I can skip through these difficult parts, but the idea is that we need to kind of stick to 25 minutes, and if I put a timer here, I can show you what exactly the time was that it took me to do all this stuff and to see if we hit 25 minutes. But since I haven't been able to get that running, is that we're still sitting through these slow loading things, so maybe you want to skip ahead if you obviously don't find this very interesting, which I wouldn't. Ooh, okay, let's see what else is interesting. Oh yeah, so the other cool thing about Prometheus, I try to also script this whole thing so you can run once and then just set up everything for Prometheus all at once. The other thing you can also actually do is I think you can use like Linux and Mars, or like I think it's cat or echo, and then you can use that to place all of this stuff like line for line inside a file all at once without having to run some, I don't know, weird commands, I assume. I mean, not weird commands, but ones you wouldn't use very frequently. And when I say not very frequently, I mean only really ever when you set up a server, or try to automate a script that sets up a server, rather. Let's see. Okay, so that's a node exporter, not very interesting. Enable SVAC, we've gone through. Okay, let's see. Yes, okay, finally done. Okay, cool. So, for those people that skipped ahead, welcome back. We're here now. Let's see, next thing, bulk stack. Okay, so it's gonna get a bit more interesting from now on. Maybe what I should do is just have a video now rather not. I just thought maybe I have a video where I've already set up Laravel and all that stuff, but next time ahead what I'll do is just try and skip it. Make sure I put a timer in. Okay. Let's see. Okay, cool. So that's done. Yeah, I'm getting bored myself of waiting for this stuff. Okay, let's see. Done that. Now we grab this file. So most of that is just basically comments. The only things we really need is this. Okay, so then another thing we want to do is copy across that. And then inside of this file, replace all of that with all of this. And then run all of that. And this is probably also going to take a while. So the only things we really need is this. So just a quick thing, stack is kind of what Laravel logs to default. So the only thing that we're logging to at the moment is Elasticsearch, and then emergency is that if anything goes wrong with like the logging stack or anything, that everything gets dumped into emergency. So that's like a last ditch attempt for Laravel to try and tell you what's going on if all of this logging stuff fails, and then Logstash is just for the UDP handlers. Okay, for Logstash. Okay, so let's see. We've set up that. Next thing we need to do is set up a command. Create a command and then that in. And then this graphic just shows you what it would look like in Grafana. We're not going to use that now. So next thing we need to do is set up Logstash for GG to get top of the file, the Shift G for deleting everything. Go in there. Okay, so then I think this is, so it's kind of cold and kept on at the moment. My fingers are a bit sticky. Okay, so I think we've done that now. So now we just need to sort out file bits configs. So the slow logging for Postgres. Restart all of that. So we'll see where we get to with time, and we'll come back to Prometheus. Let's see if we've got time. So just to show Postgres is still running, Logstash is running fine. Okay, so setup of Elasticsearch's SSL. So let's run all of this. So first thing we need zip or unzip to get a hold of the certificates in that zip file that Elasticsearch produces. So generate a CSR. No, we don't want to generate. We want to generate the certificates. Use an existing CI now because we don't have one. Key, yeah. So for production, what you probably want to do is just have a 496, not a 248. So just kind of double the amount of bits for better security. Do you want to change these options for now? No, we don't want to, just because we're trying to get through times. Now, In production, again, you probably want to choose a password. Yeah, 5 is fine. Generate a certificate per node, no, because we just have one node. Okay, oh crap, okay, sorry. So what I should have done there is actually entered in. Did you enter any hosting clients likely can't tell us is the correct? Is this correct? No. Okay, so we'll choose and then case is localized, and then 2 enters, and then 127.0.0 for IP address. So the way that the certificates work these days, if you use all certificates, is that certificates just had a subject name which was a domain, but I've extended the usefulness of certificates with a thing called SAN, which is subject alternative name. So in subject alternative names, you can have more than one DNS entry, but you can also have IPs in the actual DNS. In the SAN. So you can reach a server by the IP address for SSL or via the domain name. So okay, and that's what we're doing here. So we're just adding the IP address to the SAN in the certificate as well. Is this correct? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, yeah, looks. Do you wish? No, we don't want to change. Okay, cool. The file name should be used for output. So we want to change this to root, and then we want to change this to SSL-http.zip. What I could have also done is just made the script work with the default for Elasticsearch, I suppose. Okay, so again, and if you use the password on top in the script, what you do is you'll enter it here. We haven't, so we don't. Okay, so then the script should have also copied everything across to where it's supposed to be for Elasticsearch. Then for Elasticsearch, what we're going to do is just add this stuff. Okay, so, and then for Logstash, so GG top, D, Shift G, or capital G, delete everything, and then put this in there for the SSL. And then let's see. First we want to do is, yeah, script stops Logstash. So first you want to do a stop Logstash. So it doesn't try to connect to what it thinks is basically a broken connection to Elasticsearch, because Elasticsearch is going to start speaking SSL, and without stopping Logstash search, it's going to still try and speak normal HTTP to Elasticsearch without it being stopped. And then we stop it first and then restart it later on with the new configs so that the tag, and that looks all fine. That looks fine. Okay, cool. So yeah, okay, so that looks all good. Okay, so next thing, get the Grafana up and running. Okay, and we're almost at 25 minutes now, by the looks of it. Okay, so that's all sorted. Okay. So now I was trying to open my browser. Go to okay, so here's my browser. So by default, I think Grafana is admin, and then you get to choose a new password when initially setting up. Again, on a production system, you probably want something proper. Okay, so let's see. So first thing I would need to do is set up data sources. So data sources, okay, so we need to set up Elasticsearch. So that would be HTTPS, I think localhost 9200. We want to do with a CA, so you'll see in the notes here there's a little command for grabbing the certificate. And that is you copy this certificate, and then you can put it in there. Not assuming this is going to work at all. Okay, yeah, sticky fingers all day. Okay, let's see if this works maybe. Nope. Timestamp. Index name. Let's see. Okay, let's just try maybe this. Oh yeah, I think there's a $6 certificate. Nope. HTTPS. Okay. CS certificate configured. TLS basic auth with credentials. So the author should be sent with class subset. Okay, well this is kind of awkward. Oh, that's why. So we're using 7 point. Okay, cool. So that's sorted. Okay, we don't want to change password. Okay, so we don't have Prometheus configured yet. Well, let's see if what we can do so long is create dashboard, import via. See what happens if we need to import that. And then we can see, so that's the test we had previously. You can see the level was debug me, and you can also see the time at which we actually ran it. And that makes for 27 minutes, so a bit over time again. But I'll leave it for there, and then maybe in the future we'll do a proper video on setting up Prometheus, and then also adding all the SSL stuff for the node export and for Prometheus itself, and then making sure it shows up in this dashboard. But with that, I'll leave you here. I hope you have a good one. Bye.